evening. You are watching the news brought to you from DBS TV. In Cameroon, the Secretary General of Public Health, Halim Hayatou, has carried out an inspection visit to Douala with the aim to verify the effectiveness and the follow-up of the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The visit took him and his delegation to the Lakentini Hospital, where the isolation center was created, a center which he affirms is operational. Besides the COVID-19 pandemic, the issue of cholera outbreak in the littoral region also brought the Secretary General to Douala, a city that is witnessing a second serious pandemic. He identified potential causes such as the fluvial nature of the city and some conditions in most neighborhoods which naturally promote the spread of cholera. After discussing with city authorities, the Secretary General said measures have been taken to ameliorate the situation, such as the sanitary conditions of the town, by working on the waste disposal strategy. The visit took the delegation to the Douala Seaport and the New Bell District Hospital. Halim Hayatou insisted at the end of his visit that the coronavirus pandemic is not yet over, calling on Douala city dwellers to respect barrier measures to curb the spread of the disease. The month of October is commemorated every year as a month for breast cancer awareness in different countries around the world. Cameroon is one of those countries where breast cancer is becoming a cause of concern, as most women get to the hospital when it is at an advanced stage. In Kongsamba, Mungo division of the littoral region, the fight against breast cancer has been embraced by the Kongsamba Regional Hospital, where October has been baptized the Pink Month, synonymous to breast cancer awareness. The hospital, led by its Director General, Dr. Fulbert Georges Mangala Nkwele, accompanied by his close associates and all the nursing staff, began a breast cancer awareness campaign on Thursday, October 15, with the objective to raise awareness of the disease and increase support for early diagnosis, treatment and palliative care. The month-long activity began with a sports walk as a major requirement for general health and well-being. The Betwa Council has provided the populations with urban transport buses for its road users. The esplanade of the East Governor's Office served as launching ground of the initiative, where the first buses went operational in the town. It was initiated by the council in partnership with a local travel agency, putting into circulation new buses. It is largely aimed at alleviating the suffering of the population in terms of transport mobility and to reduce the risk of accidents by commercial motorcycles, which have become a torment in the town of Betwa. The East Region Governor, Grégoire Mvongo, on his part, invited the inhabitants to make good use of this new modern means of urban transport. The new buses each have a capacity of 34 places and can be afforded with 100 francs CFA instead of 300 francs CFA in ordinary taxis and 500 francs with commercial motorbikes. Users will thus be able to move from one place to another in the town more easily, with more comfort and at a lower cost. As precision, it should be noted that these buses are white in color and accessible to all. Each year, over 150 countries around the world hold events to mark World Food Day, making it one of the most celebrated international, with the theme Grow, Nourish, Sustain. Together our actions are our future. World Food Day 2020 calls for more resilient and robust agri-food systems and for global solidarity, both vital for the recovery from the crisis and for the building back together. For this to be achieved, there is need for innovative solutions and strong partnerships. World Food Day comes as the world continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exposed the weakness of our agri-food systems that threatens to push millions more into hunger. Throughout history, food has acted as a catalyst for social transformation, development, and expansion. But now, food safety is becoming an important issue. Thus, the day seeks to raise awareness about the importance of good food and nutrition across the globe in different ways. This day also marks the foundation of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations that happened on October 16, 1945. World Food Day 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of Food and Agriculture Organization in an exceptional moment as countries around the world deal with the widespread of effects of global COVID-19 pandemic. Like the popular saying goes, food, it's not only about nutrients and calories, it is about sharing, it is about honesty, it is about identity. Happy World Food Day! Moving to Africa, Guinea's presidential election due to take place on Sunday, October 18. The main opposition candidate, Cellou Dalein Diallo, arrived in the capital Conakry on Thursday ahead of this weekend's election, greeted by hordes of animated supporters. After about a week of combative campaigning, the 82-year-old president himself returned to the capital on Wednesday amid heightened political tensions in the West African state. 12 candidates are contesting Sunday's election in total. However, most think only Condé and Diallo are serious candidates. The outcome of Guinea's poll is likely to echo off course, kicking off a string of elections this year across West Africa. Clashes between Condé and Diallo supporters have wounded several people in different parts of the country in recent days. Rights groups are increasingly critical of Condé, whom they say is deviating towards authoritarianism. In Ivory Coast, the two leading opposition candidates in the October 31 presidential vote have asked their supporters to actively boycott the electoral process as the West African nation officially began its 2020 presidential campaign. Pascal Affi N'Guessan, Ivorian Popular Front presidential candidate in a joint appearance with another leading opposition candidate, former President Henri Konan Bedi, in a public address said, "We have decided to solemnly bring to the knowledge of all our voters, all our activists, and the people of Ivory Coast to the knowledge of national and international opinion that the ongoing electoral process does not concern us in any way, that we are not at all concerned by this ongoing electoral process. That is, electoral process is illegal because it does not meet any international criteria," he added, but did not say whether they would pull out of the election. The vote has sparked tensions in Ivory Coast as incumbent President Alassane Ouattara seeks its controversial third term, promoting fears of violence. There are 4 candidates in the running: 78-year-old Ouattara, Konan Bedi, Affi N'Guessan, and former parliamentarian Kouadio Konan Bertin. As protesters in Nigeria continue to demand evidence of police reform, authorities in the capital city Abuja and in Cross River State announced a ban on all protests. It comes after President Muhammadu Buhari promised the disbandment of the infamous Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. The ban on demonstrations was announced by Muhammad Bello, the minister in charge of the Federal Capital Territory. The ban comes amid protests against police brutality in several cities in the south of the country, including Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. The protests were originally linked to abuses blamed on the SARS Special Police Unit. Although the unit was dissolved, the protests have not stopped. The movement seems to be gradually turning into a general protest against bad governance. The ban on Thursday's gatherings met immediate resistance. Killed in October 15, 1987, Thomas Sankara's assassination case has been sent before the military tribunal in Burkina Faso. Sankara took power in a coup in 1983, becoming president, and was killed 4 years later at the age of 37 during another coup where his comrade Blaise Compaoré rose to power. Compaoré, who ruled Burkina Faso for 27 years, was overthrown in October 2014, and since then, the case has benefited from the transitional democracy. Considered as the father of the revolution, a meeting for the construction of a statue representing Sankara's assassination was held in February at the crime scene in the headquarters of the National Revolutionary Council. Compaoré is since 2016 wanted by authorities alongside his former general Diendéré, who is accused of murder and breaching national security in relation to Sankara's death. 33 years after his assassination, supporters of Pan-African figure Thomas Sankara still demand that Burkina Faso sheds light on the death of one of the most famous heads of state of the continent. However, his family lawyers have indicted that a large amount of documents have been sent to the Burkinabe judges without mentioning what they contain. Angela Merkel has called on Boris Johnson to keep negotiating over Brexit, saying the EU will need to compromise ahead of a statement by the Prime Minister on whether he will walk out of the trade and security talks. In a written conclusion adopted at their summit, the 27 leaders also urged the EU and its member states to step up preparations to protect their interest in the event. Britain leaves the single market without a deal. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson had set the first day of the EU summit on Thursday as a deadline to get a trade and security deal to replace its membership that expired on January 31. A transition period is set to end on January 1, 2021, forcing negotiators to work fast if any deal is to get legislative approval and legal appraisal in the narrow frame time. Beyond the call for speed, the leaders are also set to flaunt their unity, something Britain has failed to dent during years of talks on the withdrawal conditions and now on a bare trade deal with the new non-member. It is indicative that Johnson's call on the October 15 would be the deadline has made little impact. More than 1,000 political prisoners captured during the Yemen civil war began to be released in a massive prisoner swap on Thursday in the Middle Eastern country. Saudi Arabia and Iranian-backed rebels who have been fighting there have exchanged prisoners in what is known to be the largest swap in the country to date. The Saudi-led coalition there has been fighting Iranian-backed rebels for over 5 years. The exchange of prisoners has been negotiated over the past 2 years and largely overseen by the UN and International Committee of the Red Cross. The final deal was reached last month in Switzerland, according to a senior rebel. The operation is seen as a glimpse of hope of an end to the devastating war, as UN envoy Martin Griffiths said it is rare for him to bring good news to the Security Council on Yemen, but that changed today. The skies of Yemen have seen what I'd like to refer to as an airlift of hope, he said. Using 7 flights from 3 airports, more than 700 detainees were released during the first day in a more than 12-hour-long operation. The exchange led to scenes of celebration and triumph across Yemen as the released arrived to a military red carpet reception, kissing the ground, punching the air and generally being greeted as returning heroes. UN diplomats said they hoped the bulk of the swap would be completed over the next 2 days. Coming just 2.5 weeks before Election Day, President Donald Trump was on Thursday, October 15, questioned if he took a COVID-19 test before his first debate with Democrat Joe Biden. This was during a televised town hall debate that showcased striking differences in temperament, views on racial justice, and approaches to the pandemic that has reshaped the nation. Trump's response was defensive about his administration's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Biden, appearing nearly 1,200 miles away, denounced the White House's handling of the virus, declaring that it was at fault for closing a pandemic response office established by the Obama administration in which he served. Democrat Biden vowed to tell before Election Day whether he will support expanding the number of justices on the Supreme Court if Democrats win the presidency, the Senate, and also hold the House after November. The two men, however, are still scheduled to occupy the same space for a debate for a second and final time next week in Nashville. That brings us to the end of this edition of the news on DBS TV. Thank you for being here. Keep watching DBS TV.